Hello, everybody, and welcome to Nace Star League. Welcome back for another week of Rainbow Six Siege. It's Irish and I's first time on this stream. Very excited to be here, and, well, Irish, we got a lot to look forward to tonight. I know you don't really frequent the collegiate scene, so a lot to be excited about with a couple of best of threes coming our way this night.
No, like you were alluding to, both of us kind of one of our newest leagues that we've joined. One of our we've had a few games back in
Mhm.
like in the kind of tier
Yeah.
3 Xenon TPL, but yeah, no, this is our first time casting a collegiate game, looking at collegiate teams and see if they have a lot of interesting things to bring out, because I know that a lot of these teams really push a lot for coaches and push a lot for that. So I'm interested to see if any of these teams have really interesting strats going into these maps.
Yeah, so our first game of the night's going to be Kettering University up against St. Clair. And then following that with Kennesaw State versus Lebanon Valley to conclude the evening. And, well, Kettering and St. Clair start us off. I know St. Clair have a relatively prolific collegiate esports scene. I've heard of their Rocket League team in the CRL kind of circuit. So I expect to see quite a good bit out of St. Clair, just to say the least. As for everybody else, can't say that I've seen them around the CR6 scene, can't say that I've seen them around the collegiate scene much at all in many games, although I may just that may be speaking to a lack of experience, but yeah, a lot of expectations coming to the first one, at least on my end for St. Clair, but both teams definitely with a solid chance because the thing about thing about collegiate Siege in general is that it really feels like it's a toss up no matter what game you get into because a lot of these teams are going to be, playing a lot with each other, but they're not quite going to be up to the highest standard that we'll typically see in maybe that number one tier of actual like competitive, the what we're used to watching at the highest levels of Siege. It's not quite there yet, but they are putting in a lot of work. So you see a good mix of good strategy and then maybe some room for volatility because there's a little bit more of a margin for error in these matchups because one individual big play could really catch the other team off guard.
And especially with that, kind of looking forward to not only just that, but the maps and a lot of the other things that sorry, going into the rosters immediately. We
Mhm.
have Derp, Chuck, Matt Mac, Prismo, and Bombke from Kettering. We have Terror, Rapid, Salty Boy, Corey, and Baka from St. Clair.
It's gonna be a fun one. Just the names are gonna make it quite fun. I have no idea how we're gonna remember SCC. My name is Baka every time. That's either gonna be SCC or Baka if we can help it. But for the most part, it still looks pretty simple. But other than that, yeah. So I think that's the only one. Is that Terror up top? I think that's Terror. Yeah.
That's what I was looking
We'll
through the
go with it.
rosters a little bit off of the spreadsheet, and that was what
Uh huh.
I think that's at least what I'm gonna just say is Terror, because
Mhm. Mhm.
that's the closest. And then SCC Baka, I'm gonna say Baka. But yeah, like you were saying, yelling out, Derp is in sight. Oh my gosh, Derp is killing everybody. Is gonna make for a fun best of three and a very fun broadcast ahead of us.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And what could also make for a very fun broadcast is what maps we end up going to. So I think it's about time we take a look at the map veto and see where these teams will end up going. Because another thing to note about collegiate is that it'll probably be a little bit less of a diverse map pool than you'll see at some of the higher levels, right? Because these guys are going to have a lot more experience in some of the more common maps you'll see teams favor in ranked play and the maps that have been around for a longer time. Maybe they haven't had too much time to play as a full 5-man roster on the maps that they prefer. So you're going to default to maps like Oregon or Clubhouse or Chalet or Cafe, maps that have been in the pool for quite a long time and haven't really seen significant changes for a number of years. So I would imagine we'd see at least one, if not two, of those maps in these map pools. It could even be entirely dominated by maps that we know what to expect on. But the other thing is, if you can find an ace in the hole that another team isn't going to ban, like if you've been working really hard on your consulate or on your labs, if those are included in the pool. I don't know if this map is updated to the comp pool or not,
It
but
is.
yeah, it is. Okay.
Mhm.
So if you can work on a map like that and the other team lets us through the ban phase, then you have a really big step up on the other squad because that's a map they may not have that experience on. So I would be really excited if we got to see one of those two newer maps. However, keeping the expectations grounded, it's likely not what we'll see tonight.
And yeah, pulling the rug out from underneath you. No map veto, no map ban graphic. Three
Oh.
maps that we're gonna go to: Oregon, Cafe, Decider on Border. It's like you were saying,
Hmm.
pretty bog standard maps, but out of these three teams, especially for Oregon, and having that be our first map, there's a lot of interesting stuff that I was seeing specifically at the major, where there was a lot of different kind of middle floor site defenses that were
Hmm.
completely different and very unique. Where actually, I think I saw those first floor sites played a lot more often than I had seen ever in tier one. So if these
Yeah.
coaches and if these teams kind of try to adopt off of that, we might be seeing a few
Mhm.
interesting site choices. Definitely some interesting operator choices because newer operators from the defensive side are incredibly strong. So even going to a kind of like we say standard map of Oregon, things are going to be exciting on these first few rounds. This first map.
Hmm. Yeah, I think so too. And we've got definitely a matchup of one team that has proven their worth through the regular season, having not lost a game yet, which is Kettering Esports, whereas St. Clair's were only barely able to sneak through with a 4-3 record out of their group, which was good for fourth place, and top four in every group made it through. So congratulations to St. Clair. They were able to clutch up towards the end of the season and get things together just in time to get a big playoff berth. However, anything could really go here. That's the nature of group stages, right? You play teams in one certain group, and maybe they're not all up to snuff. Maybe Kettering University got a little bit of a bracket blessing, so to say. And St. Clair have played some of the best teams in the league until this point. We never really know, but I do know that Maverick is our first ban on Oregon. That one's pretty interesting.
The Mav ban is something that we kind of see coming in and out of the meta, where for that top floor take, it's something that you see so incredibly often, because taking that tower side, if it's kited off, if it's banded off, if there's anything on that wall, having a Maverick there to not only open up that wall immediately and just bypass the electrocution altogether, but also to open up kill holes on tower wall. Maybe Kettering know a little bit more about St. Clair than we do, or they just kind of want to bunker down on that top floor significantly more. But either way, you're saying an interesting ban, not something that we see all that often, but a Mira ban on this map, that's pretty standard. She's so strong for not only just the top floor, not even just those. Actually, I don't really see her on the middle floor, but definitely for the basement and definitely
Yeah.
for the top floor. And Solus as well. God, she is just everywhere when she's not banned.
Yeah, we are going to see Ying and Dokkaebi up. Most times you'll talk about operators that get left up through the ban phase, you mentioned on the defensive side, just because of the sheer number of operators that are powerful on the defensive end. But here you see a Flores Maverick ban, and you pointed out that Maverick's definitely quite solid on this map and big for hatches. Oregon has a lot of hatches that you need to use, take advantage of. But leaving Ying up could make basement executes somewhat more doable than they were before, should that be how you want to go about it. Maybe dropping E-Box, maybe going in through bunker. And also having Dokkaebi up is going to pretty much negate a lot of roam clears, again, should you choose to bring her. However, St. Clair choosing neither of those operators into their first round. They'll just rock a typical kind of, flex support, flex frag, and you got your Thatcher, you got your Ace. And then a couple more utility-based selections. They pick a Buck into Oregon, which doesn't have a ton of verticality, but into the second floor, it could definitely be helpful, shooting out the floor from under some people and making the objective a little bit harder to play around.
Depending on what secondary gadget Rapid has on his disposal, yeah, he has that hard breach charges. That maybe might point towards the fact that St. Clair does use the Maverick on that tower side, and with the Buck having those heart breach charges, having the ability to shotgun out the floor and delete any wall denial, they might be looking to do the exact same split take that is very default for this map, even without the Maverick at their disposal. Either way, bomb key below, making him rotate, making a little bit of space for himself, continuing to be a nuisance, but they have a drone on him. They know exactly where he is, and Rabbit immediately into the building is looking to clear it out. Derek looking to take that first gunfight though, and with Ping's peppers a few shots through the wall, but he gets traded. A fantastic trade from Terror. And he looks to get a second. Oh my gosh, he's just running through the building. Double kill from Terror. 2 roamers off the board, and Prismo needs to fight back here.
I don't think he's going to find anybody because St. Clair have gotten the first couple of kills, and then they've made sure they're not overextending. They're not too far away from each other. Terror's been caught for a little bit of damage, but he seems to be just fine. And that roam dying so quickly off of the objective is going to be a big loss for the defense. However, Chuck is still alive inside of Trophy. And so even though you lost 2 roamers in a somewhat obsolete part of the map, you still have a lot of control over these very integral areas of the map. And now with Matt Mack getting K'd out, he might not have any room to work with, but Chuck's going to get the kill in a rapid. Good push in from Corey to get 1 knockdown, but Chuck's got another kill, and there was an extra added on top for Kettering. So even though the roam clear went perfectly, St. Clair just don't take advantage of the time they have in their hands to work with, and they're left in a 2-on-1.
That's just a gorgeous individual play from Chuck there, and Corey last alive. He's looking for a secondary entry into the building, another space to enter, or maybe he's just looking to waste out the time, talk to his team. Nope. Gonna make a quick... He's proning in through to make sure that they don't have info on him, make sure they don't quite know exactly where. Instead of taking that tactical timeout like I thought he might take, instead, looking to walk up white, slow walking up here, checking for any sort of utility, but they don't know where he is. The gun's trained on his position, and that gun that we know has been firing of Chuck brings him down to 1 HP. At close angle watched, he might have a pixel on Prismo, but he doesn't exactly know that he's there. Prismo and Chuck have precise info on Corey, and with 30 seconds left, he's able to walk in, take a little bit of space. but doesn't have case, can't do anything objective-wise, so has to push even further onto site, and isn't able to check the corner. Prismo cleaning it out, but fantastic play from Chuck.
I mentioned it just a little bit after we saw everything completely fall apart for the St. Clair attack, but you need to re-emphasize it after the end of that round. St. Clair had so much time to work with, and they just didn't use any of it. You get in a 2-player advantage after clearing the roam that quickly. I think it was in under a minute they had gotten a couple of different kills. And then they just didn't try and do everything to leverage that. They didn't take advantage of the area they had. Kettering had a big delay util setup with Jaeger, Aruni, and Wamai, and they had plenty of time to deal with all of that util burn and then try and pressure Wamai out of that position. However, they didn't do that. They just kept overextending. They consistently put themselves too far forward compared to where they had to be. And that ended up with a round loss because you're just forcing yourselves into choke points without trying to take the time you have at your disposal.
Yeah, the problem is, you're right, they did have that space, they did have the 2 roam picks below, but instead of pressuring and pushing through below, we're going to cut to a quick rehost. We can still talk a little bit more about that round, but you're going to be seeing our lovely faces instead of the actual game. And the problem
Yeah.
was, they did have that space, they did have that roam clear below, but instead of full clearing that, like you were saying, it was just 1v1s given over to Chuck, and credit to him. Oh my god, the shots that he was hitting one all the way out on Master Bollock, but then just holding his ground and holding those head holes. That's the strength of those head holes into Trophy Wall, is that you can play them from either side, and he was able to hold down Attic despite losing one member in Attic and getting a 3K and completely turning the round back around.
Yeah, it really didn't feel like there was much of a chance for the attack once that whole flurry of kills happened. And I will say, there is something good to pull out of that attacking round from St. Clair, and it's that their coordination is very well timed. There were a ton of kills at the same time for the defensive end, which means everybody was timing their push just at around that same interval. Issue is that it wasn't really a great push. You kind of forced yourself through a couple of choke points. You had 2 people jumping through that attic window when you could have just not done that. There wasn't any contest inside of tower. Why not have somebody hard breach in small tower, or rather in big tower, and then walk up attic? You could try and do that. We saw multiple people who had hard breaching. You pointed out that the Buck brought hard breach gadgets. Maybe that was indicative that they liked to bring the Maverick and go big tower, but the way they played that last round is indicative of the fact that they don't really take advantage of all the space they maybe have to their own advantage. So, need to see them do a much better job at slowing things down, droning things out, and seeing where you can play out of, because there's no harm in trying to spread yourselves out just a little bit more so you don't have 2 people jumping through an awkwardly placed window trying to clear a player out of attic with somebody is in trophy who has an angle onto your position and can easily make your round much harder than it has to be. It feels like you're kind of just making your own round harder than it has to be at that point. And unfortunately, it would seem some of the players are making our lives harder than they have to be, as we are 1 round in and need to cut to a break for the rehost. We'll be back really quick, though, with round number 2 and the remaining couple of maps of this best of 3. Welcome back. It was a rather short rehost, and very glad that it was, because, never like a rehost one round into a game. Fresh off the heels of a Kettering round win, and seemingly losing some of that momentum, but they could still go down to that basement site, one of the more reliable sites in the game, but they're actually going to pull up a little switch up, and they go to kitchen and dining on their second objective. How do we feel about this? This feels like it's kind of early for the kitchen dining play.
Like I was saying, that's something that I was seeing a little bit more at the majors. I was seeing, oh my gosh, there's a lot more mid-floor sites than I had seen earlier. Maybe it was the major, maybe it was regional leagues, but either way, that's something that I've been seeing a lot more at the tier 1 level is the willingness to play these middle sites on the map, where before we kind of the basic knowledge is okay, top floor, bottom floor, basement is going to be the strongest. But for a lot of other maps as well, these kind of sandwich sites where you can have someone playing below, like a Solus, not available for this game, or maybe like a Pulse or something, have some info playing below, have someone playing vertical above, and you have to clear so much before you actually take site. So that's something that I've been seeing a lot more recently, but again, either way, without that Solus, having that middle floor site is still something that's quite strong. But for St. Clair, their clears have been strong. So needing to clear so much more area above site for them isn't really as much of a problem. The problem for them for the last round, previously, if you're just tuning in, was that 3-2-1 to switch direction and make an actual entry onto Attic, which was the top floor site that we saw the last round.
So currently Chuck set up inside a bathroom. His job is to make sure nobody pushes into lower small tower. So then Prismo is able to continue to play upstairs, as you see right here. There are only a couple of windows that can half see his position, and he's almost got a kill there. Just behind him, the breaching round's going to make his life harder, though, and he swings a bit too wide, and Terror is again able to take advantage and find an early kill. Good trade back, though, this time from Bombkey. And that's going to make a big difference, because Bombkey showing his presence towards Big Tower, and then Derp swinging wide to take down Corey Rob. St. Clair get control of Small Tower, and then they try too quickly to get control of other areas. They're just a little bit too far spread out and not ready for the Kettering players where they are.
The util clear and the actual clear out of that top small tower was so clean and so perfect. Only taking a little bit of damage on Terror and Baka, but then just running around above, getting 2 picks for Kettering. Bring it back. In a minute and 30, they really do need to push a little bit closer to Chuck here, and he was the member from Kettering that got the most amount of kills the last round. Some shots peppered in towards his side. He gets taken down. A fantastic double swing from St. Clair. Take down Chuck and gain bathroom side.
Now, normally you'd see them have access to the site through bathroom wall with that kill being found. However, they didn't even open or rotate in from the site into bathroom. They kind of left him out there to die and gave him a rotate into his back hallway, which isn't a terrible thing, but it feels like they were kind of missing that. So that element of that strategy that you feel like is missing kind of plays to their advantage here, because eventually they knew that he was going to go down. And so they're left in a 3-on-3 with 45 seconds to go, and all these defenders in relatively solid positions. The Terror is moving up close.
Doesn't quite know that Derp is going to be playing that close right corner. Derp, a fantastic angle. Bombkey also just holding, and he swings at a quick shot, but a trade from Baka. And another one for Bombkey brings Kettering to a 2-1 man advantage. And Baka, the last alive with 20 seconds with it all to do. He has the case in his pocket. He has one last hard breach charge, but time as is, and St. Clair retaking bathroom. They have a trade on him. No matter where he swings, he's gonna get taken down. That's another round for Kettering.
Maybe not spicing things up enough for the second round in a row. That round was better. It felt like they were trying to do just a little bit more, with one walking up the server hall, or rather security hall, one playing really close. You saw Terror playing up close up against that rotate. You had still Thermite out towards in small tower, but it just kind of generally felt like they weren't taking kind of the initiative they needed to take. They could have maybe gone for a plant. They had enough space to at least somewhat safely start initiating a plant and have their players cover, because the objective was in dining. There are a couple different spots you probably could have gotten a plant down, and if anybody tries to swing out of kitchen, or swing out of security, or swing out of top freezer, you have people in the appropriate spots to do something about that. So I think that out of that spot, you probably want to go for a plant. At least try, and then play off the cover if you are St. Clair with somebody in small tower and then somebody maybe playing shower corridor. but they just try to overextend just a little bit so they can feel a little bit more safe, and that is exactly what Kettering expected out of them.
First 2 rounds have been so strange because the early round from St. Clair is pretty gorgeous. And when you kind of think that last round through, 2 minutes or about a minute and 50 in, they have bathroom control. They have that top tower control. They have a thermite with 1 exothermic in his pocket and another smoke in his pocket with case. You think, oh, okay, you just get plant down. That's an easy round win. But as it gets down to that last minute, Kettering just activate their guns, and all of a sudden things just swing back into their favor every single time. St. Clair looking to take the offensive. This blitz that's top main stairs. They've drawn him. They have that camera on him. They know exactly where he is. But either way, a very different look from St. Clair. Instead of their slow clear, they're just pushing back, letting one of their members double up with this blitz, and then hopefully they'll send it directly into derp.
This is something that we see a decent amount on this site, but normally when you see the blitz brought, it's brought as kind of a rush strategy in through blue. So seeing it used for a full clear is a little bit unique, albeit not totally unique. Ooh. But there goes the blitz, because Chuck's just been given a free head on a silver platter, and then Derp gets another kill onto Terror just after. And out of nowhere, a couple of frags come through. Salty seemingly ready for both of them to be inside meeting, but he can only get one of the kills. And then Chuck will trade him out just after, and then soon thereafter, fall back down the E-box hatch and give his team a 2-player advantage with only 2 players left on the attack and half of the round to go.
And with all of that for Kettering, they just drop all their members back to site. That's the thing about Basement. That's why we talk about it being so strong and why people play it so often, is because you really, honestly, if you have the right operator comp and just play all 5 members on site. With this man advantage, they're going to be looking to take that. Oh, with the Osa playing like a shield, Corey is able to get one back onto Mac. Jeez. But the info coming in for Kettering as well. They're just looking to get some damage. None of those shots hitting on Prismo. He still has impact. He's breaking the shield from Vaca. Vaca has that second in his pocket, and with both of the impacts now taken out, Vaca is now able to hold this position and cut off the rotate from Kettering. You're getting a little bit of info from them, a little bit of space, then another pick going to Vaca. Gets traded off, and Bombkey getting another pick, closes out the attack. It's just messy frags and messy late rounds, but it always goes to the side of Kettering.
Yeah, and it feels like there's always some kind of issue for St. Clair, and every round they're kind of a little different. In round number 1, we saw their mid-round be a problem, trying to gather control over the areas next to the site, like the adjacent rooms like Attic and Trophy, attacking that top floor hold. In round number 2, we saw it be their late round, where they got the control that they were looking for, but they didn't know how they wanted to end the round. And in that round we just saw there, the big issue was their early round. They gave up way too many picks without getting any intel on the players in meeting. As Blitz, if you know you want to go for a push into meeting, why aren't you having someone drone you in? Why not even just do it yourself? Any kind of info on the clear that you're attempting to do makes that situation just a little bit better, and he's able to angle his shield just a little bit more to the side so he doesn't get killed immediately. And honestly, is maybe even able to put pressure on some of those players inside of meeting. If you get droned out in a spot as easy to kill as where Aruni was last round, you're probably not going to stay there too long. You might be able to flush out that presence just by droning it alone, but they don't do that.
Either way, St. Clair looking to bring a very similar lineup to what they had in the first clear, which you're talking about, at least I was talking about how fantastic their initial early round clears had been. Going back to a strong site for Kettering, something that they're very comfortable with, but something that St. Clair actually, early round for them, and the round before that kind of 3-2-1 of everyone just through windows fell apart for them. Rapid making quick entry onto this top tower side. It's going to be electrocuted off, but like I was talking about earlier in the game, that's something that Buck himself can just completely deal with. But Bombkey playing below, aggress a little bit and make his presence known, but no, he's not. He's dropping back. He has a rotate. He can aggress and he can flank if he wants to, but the drones for St. Clair are securing the area and securing the space.
Really only one drone they've been using thus far through the round. It was Salty who was on his drone just before, and now nobody on drones. Terror's gonna hop on drone, but Rapid's just kind of holding this angle, and I'm not sure why we don't bother droning these things, because we don't really gain anything out of just sitting here holding an angle. Terror just used his drone, and there you go, is able to get a kill just afterwards. So down goes Chuck. That trophy player that was such a huge problem last round is dead already this time around. So yet again, attacking the second floor, they have a very successful early round take, but it's not getting too much better as they're putting pressure on the players on Master Val.
Just holding that space, making his position known, and chunking down almost all of the members on that bedroom side. Baka is now taken down all that damage, making sure that he is now sitting on the ground, and if he gets res, likely res, coming back to 20 HP, but that is a very impactful member of Baka. That's the hard breach charges, the 2 Selma charges on a wall that is still not fully open for entry.
Good trade back from Bomb Key, and Rapid will go down. Still a lot more players alive at this attacking side than there were at this point in the round prior. Terror, though. Ooh. Oh, no. The worst possible timing. And Derp's going to swing him with the super shorty and then get another one onto the Master Bout player. Good trade back from Salty Boy, though. But his teammates just died underneath, and it's all left to the Thatcher in a 1-on-3.
All that. Another individual play. Derp just swinging off of Breach and then going all the way back to Trophy. Close it out for his team. Not quite over. Salty Boy is still alive and still looking to make a little bit of something happen, and as floor holes goes Salty Boy's way, he knows exactly where Bombkey is going to be swinging from. The good crosshair placement, but Mac is able to hit the shot. Another closeout for Kettering, and another sloppy mid-round misfire for St. Clair.
Feels like there's just a little bit of hesitation in when they spot something or when they know what to expect, and then when they actually choose to activate and try and play off of some intel that they gathered somewhere. Kettering are getting advantages at certain points in the round off of pretty expectable positions from St. Clair, especially in that last round. But St. Clair probably should have known to expect it, but they're just hesitating a lot. You saw a couple of half swings from the Sledge as he, pulls out a nade and then waits, and then he's, just doesn't quite know how he wants to go about dealing with the situation. They need some kind of clear goal because they know their end goal. They know what they want to get. Is they want to get games wall open, and they want to try and push in from there, and Trophy with some attic presence maybe, and they want to get a point in near games. But they're not communicating well in how to get that end goal. They're just kind of losing each other in the mid round and just kind of thinking, well, maybe I wasn't expecting this kind of position. What do I do now? They need to kind of work better together in the middle of that round, because as you mentioned, it's another round they've lost off a misfire in the middle of it.
Switching things up, talking about Kettering, they just need to keep doing what they're doing. Even though even though the early round hasn't quite been exactly perfect for them, they've lost the entry pick quite a few times, but that mid round, they just keep getting active. Derp in that last round, again, just swinging every single angle, and Prisma holding his position. The one more passive member for Kettering, this is a very impactful position. He was cleared off of it last time they played this site, but 2 fantastic Kibas is definitely going to waste a lot of time. See that EMP clear off those 2 Jaeger ADSs that hold his position down, but as he repositions, he's still so safe. 40 seconds cleared out, and that's almost all the members completely just focused around this one position, and Dirt playing around the back.
Yeah, you have Rapid watching for a jump out from big window, and then everybody else is staring at the exact same area. We're not spreading up as much as we need to, and Prismo's taking big advantage of that. He knows the whole team is here waiting on him to do something, anything, but he's not going to give them what they want. And then eventually, Prismo gets a kill, Derp gets another one, there was one just before from Chuck as well, and now they finally killed the Azami, but you've used up 3 players, almost all of your utility, and only gotten 1 kill in return, as well as a minute and a half. Half of the round is gone just clearing the top of Small Tower. That is a very rough round, to say the least, and it will end in Kettering's fashion as Chuck cleans up towards the conclusion.
We're talking about, honestly, the benefits from both teams and the things that both teams have been doing so well, but Kettering just improving every single round. We saw a very similar lineup the last time that they played that site, and even though they won it, things got a little bit scrappy because they kind of cleared out top floor, they cleared out bathroom pretty quickly. But now Kettering, knowing how St. Clair attack, knowing all these things about St. Clair, adapting even though they were 4-0 previously. even though they've been winning these rounds, even though they've been performing so well, there's still things to improve, and they're still saying, okay, we can do better. It's a fantastic sign out of Kettering. And, you know, you look to the scoreline, you look to see, oh my gosh, Derp, Matt Mac, Chuck, Bombkey, all these players that were doing so well. You know, Prismo can probably step it up. No, actually.
No.
Prismo has been, well, I mean, he can, but
No.
Prismo
Wait,
has been holding his position, delaying time, and letting other members of Kettering's play off of him. All 5 of these members have been playing so incredibly so far, giving them the 5-0 scoreline going into the last round of the half, and such a dominant half at that.
Really happy we'll see someone kind of taking that sort of dirty work role in a collegiate game, because a lot of the time you'll have people at this level who are just kind of thinking about, oh, I want to have a good game, I want to go out and frag and get kills. Meanwhile, somebody like Prismo, who's willing to take the lower end of the scoreboard and do the work that goes unseen, completely changes the game. And I'm glad we're giving him his props. I hope he watches this game back and realizes that we can see how much work he's doing for the team, because they don't win that last round if he isn't playing so selflessly and so well to deny time as he was in Small Tower. However, not denying a lot of time and just kind of dying off rip is Derp. And a big difference here, you see 3 different people on drones for St. Clair, and it works so well. Terror's got 2 kills on the roam clear because his teammates are feeding him info. This is the perfect kind of clear, the perfect kind of early round we need from St. Clair, and thus they pretty much accomplished the early and mid round all in one go. They just need to figure out where they want to conclude, which is the hardest part of these basement executes.
This is what we want to see out of them. Like you were saying, a fantastic clear, 2 opening picks, and the minute and 45, almost all of those hatches open and so much to play around. But instead of playing default, instead of going towards that blue side, they're stacking up towards main. Matt Mac, Bombkey, and a lot of the other members of Kettering that are still alive know this. They're holding those positions. They're holding bottom freezer. But either way, like you were saying, with that Ying up, with the Blitz, with the Sens as well, all of these execute heavy operators, and that's what has been lacking for St. Clair. Even though Kettering have that info, with all the utility that St. Clair have in their pockets, I would be shocked if they can't get something done. And already those catapults going out, Blitz rushing in, a flash onto Matt Mac, he gets taken down.
Another one for Salty Boy, and it doesn't seem to be ending so well for Kettering. At least 1 round on the board, and a flawless round at that for St. Clair. All the utility in the world to make that as hard a defensible site as you possibly can. And it's safe to say that did the trick, because the Candelas, the Firebolts, the Smokes, the Sens projectors, the Blitz running through, every single operator selection had a role in that round, and they got towards the end because they had a significantly better early round. They knew where to anticipate players, and they knew how to deal with them properly. The droning was great. The execute was great. Awesome round for St. Clair. Unfortunately, it comes 6 rounds into a half in which you had won nothing else. We'll just have to see if it's too little too late, or if they can actually make a little bit of a comeback here.
Benefit of the doubt. Now they're on defensive side, things get significantly easier because, like we were talking about, there's so many strong operators. We haven't seen the Fenry, we haven't seen a lot of other operators like Valk that we talk about being so incredibly overpowered. But that Aruni pick had been so strong for Kettering, and looks to be even more strong. Terror looking to get that entry fight, to get that spawn peek onto lower junkyard. That's something I really want to see if that works out. Bombkey and the rest of Kettering possibly having info, hopefully having info. Terror on this spawn peek is holding this angle with the glass still up. Will they run immediately into him? They have the gun up, they peek!
Oh, no.
Just a slight miss. Only a few inches off of his head, and Terror forced to walk back to site and give up that area, but either way, that'll delay Kettering for a little bit. It'll keep them on their toes. It's a good start, because even though you're 1-5 down, you're still playing aggressive as he looks to retake this area and continue to play for that opening pick.
Yeah, he's not falling off quite yet. Just a relatively common Roma strategy you'll see a decent amount on Oregon. Rather than trying to send people very far away. Granted, this often happens with the basement site, but yeah, you know, it has its perks in the top floor defense as well. But you'll send 1 or 2 players out so they can try and get some early presence and try and, you know, fire a couple warning shots over at the other team to try and let them know that they are contesting, but fall back very early so as to not risk losing any of their health on that roam, because there isn't really much benefit to holding inside of small tower for too terribly long. You can't really use that towards the end of the round unless it's a big window execute, which it could well end up being, because they're continuing to push terror. Wherever he may be at this point, he's actually moved over to Classroom to get that kill on a derp. So this is a weird state for Kettering. Good kill, though, from Prismo. Is going to trade that back and find ourselves in a 4-on-4 until Bombkey from below gets a grenade, and a really good timing on that one. Kettering bring it back into their own advantage.
Some good kills for St. Clair, but yeah, some fantastic trades from Kettering, as well as the area that's now taken. Wall open, and so much to play around with a minute and a half at their disposal. Rapid falls back to top white and doesn't quite know that there's one holding him, but shots don't quite go his way. Doesn't down Bombkey, and Bombkey able to trade it back. Now Baka, the last alive. Everyone around him, everyone's swarming. Shots going behind him. Shots in front of him as well. Pushed a little bit further back into kids, but as Prismo trades, plant going down, there's no way you win that.
Yeah, not really much of a chance. That's just kind of KU taking care of business, right? Kettering just looked so good in that previous round. St. Clair didn't have a terrible setup. I like the implementation of a Thorn running around below, trying to catch people off guard, be that, well, literally that thorn in the side of the attackers where you're constantly worrying about where she is, but just overextended a little bit right into the waiting arms of the Finca, waiting below waiting at the bottom of the armory staircase, bottom of main stairs, just waiting for that swing to come through. A little bit too predictable there, and I guess the remaining positions also just a little bit too predictable, right? Maybe lacking some intel. We saw a mute on the defensive side, and yet there was still enough intel on the attacking side to get a nade kill from below. Perhaps speaking to either misplaced jammers or too predictable of positions, so that somebody could say, there's probably one here, might as well chuck a nade at it, and that actually works. That isn't the greatest indicator, and that, along with the roam being too predictable, gave them too great of an advantage to dig themselves back out of.
Also the fact that they weren't really holding as many extensions. They didn't have as much utility dedicated towards trophy. And that let Kettering just walk directly in from main, open up the wall, have trophy control, as well as main stairs and so much other map control so early on to then use that time. They had so much time to work with to be able to throw those nades and get that info. Their way, Terror looking to get aggressive like he was last round, looking to do the exact same thing, possibly get that entry pick and possibly turn things around a little bit for his team and turn the tide. But Chuck with a Claymore, making sure that any run out is not as possible as last round. 30 seconds in. Not all that much has happened around Terror. They still seem aware of his positioning, as like I was saying. They put down those Claymores, they made sure that they have those runouts secured, and Terror continues to look to get aggressive on this bottom floor.
I don't like to see Terror still having deployable shield in pocket. That's definitely not the greatest of things to see. He's your only shield, too, so...
Ooh, I did not notice that.
Yeah, that is kind of egregious, I'm not gonna lie. Because shields are so powerful, just to be able to set up a certain spot, whether you put it outside attic, and you make it easier for Salty to play where he is. You make it so someone can play in Trophy, where we had the Wamai on the Kettering defense play. That was very helpful. Anything is better than just not having a shield on the ground, and Terror's just chosen the option of no commitment. With Bombkey dying first, it still looks pretty solid for St. Clair, but I still just, I don't know. I like the positions more. Corey up on top of the dresser. I didn't even realize this was somewhere you could go. Derp seemed to expect it, but it doesn't matter. And then Corey swings wide for another. Almost gets a third on the games wall. Good trade out from Matt Mac, but how do they make the comeback here?
Getting aggressive, they're getting those gunfights and playing, like you were saying, very well off these off positions with that mute on the board. You don't have those drones on site, so the adaptation, like you were saying, coming into, hey, maybe we play something a little bit more weird. Maybe we play an off corner that they're not quite expecting, because they've been nading us from below even without info. But Chuck, without info, swinging off the door, doesn't quite get any damage on the members of St. Clair. St. Clair, all these members still alive, with all these operators and one still on the flank, dropping it back. They know that they can play passive. They're just holding those angles.
Still plenty of time to work with. Rapid just waiting to get the angle he wants, and Chuck can't seem to buy a good angle at this point. He won't be able to buy it for any price. Costs his life to take that engagement, and then SCC will clean it up in the final. As another round for St. Clair, they've won 2 of the last 3, finally able to right their wrongs upstairs, but Kettering do have a 4-round buffer. So eventually, St. Clair, you'd imagine, have to go to a site that they're not super confident on, and that may be where KU can catch them faltering and close this map out, just thanks to how good their own defensive half was.
Yeah, just a little messy on the early round. Allowing St. Clair to not only get that entry pick, but also just keep one alive on the basement. They didn't even really look to clear. They just said, okay, we have the advantage as far as gunfights. Almost all of our players are now active. We've done so well in those kind of mid-round pushes. So we just 3, 2, 1, send a gridlock through the door when it's burned, and we win the round. With those off positions from St. Clair, winning this round, I don't think that quite works in the next few rounds. But either way, they swapped onto this Malusi, something that we didn't see out of the Kettering defense.
Yeah, I like that selection. Malusi's definitely worked her way into kind of a more niche role, but still has a place, right? And a lot of different util to kind of indicate where the attack wants to go. Give the defenders a little bit more intel, right? You got the Banshees that'll tell you when somebody makes a push. You got Thorn Grenades that'll also tell you when somebody moves through a specific doorway into a specific proximity. And then with that, makes your lives a lot easier. Oh, back to the 1940s, I suppose. Yeah, LA Noir for Derp as he moves through. But the drones still have color, I guess. But I guess we've lost color here.
The attacking members of Kettering.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the drones are still good. It might just be like the player POVs that are like that. Oh, well, hey, I think it's cool. It looks cool.
Either way, quick entry into the building from Kettering. They have a ton of space to work off of, and Prismo, with that visor activated, Bombkey, they have so much information to play off of. Wow. Just look at the operator lineup for Kettering. They have that Dokkaebi like we were talking about earlier. They have the 0 for cams, but that's not what's going to happen. Derp, not an info operator. It's going to get swung by Terror, playing aggressively. You have all this information. You have all of this at your disposal, and you can't clear a roamer. Terror, fantastic opening pick, and Corey playing a little bit aggressively, pushing back Bombkey for a little bit. That's a good opening for St. Clair, even into an info-heavy setup for Kettering.
Yeah, it's always a good opening to remove a couple of frag grenades from the equation. Maybe for about the next 2-3 weeks or so, it'll be a huge deal. But I mean, hey, you know, downstairs, not having that ability to...
I cried because of that change.
I kind of like it. I think it makes them more in line with the other secondary gadgets. They were kind of too broken for a secondary gadget. You gotta be honest. I felt like they were a little too powerful for what they were also supposed to be as balanced as. But regardless, St. Clair still in a pretty good spot. Kettering have gotten the control that they want. They seem to be favoring a laundry execute in the same way that the attacking side of St. Clair was favoring it, as we also have a green filter. It feels like we're playing a Metal Gear Solid game right now. And yeah, apparently the visual effects are not on our side today.
Even with a man disadvantage, slowing things up. Oh no, now we're back to good. Even with a man disadvantage, Kettering have been playing this so well. They haven't lost any more members. They've cleared out that top floor, and now they're knocking on the door to sight. Rapid swinging, getting some damage onto Prismo. But they have his number, and Chuck as well, getting a pick onto Corey. A fantastic trade back, and now man advantage for Kettering in this last 20 seconds. They've been good in this execute. They've been good when things get a little bit more tough. But things going towards the side of St. Clair. A fantastic triple kill from Terror. And now Bombkey, last alive, getting chunked down to 1 HP. He's the last member for Kettering. Has to bring this back with a C4 going over his shoulder. He has site control. 5 seconds left. He needs to get both picks. But Terror, a 4-piece for the round and a fantastic individual play. Keep St. Clair in this game.
Outstanding play from Terror. He's been one of their highlight players. He opened the game up with a double kill and a roam clear and made us feel like St. Clair were going to be aim gods. He had that huge round that you just saw. He's had a couple of very impressive shots and has been the one to open things up for his team. If anyone on St. Clair has been doing any entry picking of any kind whatsoever. Only good for 3 rounds thus far, but hey, you know, they make it work, especially because Kettering were able to almost work that back from having an early disadvantage. You felt like, they stand a good chance considering how good they are, but, that didn't feel like that was their round at all, and then they almost made it theirs. But then Terror somehow still said no. He's got 9 kills, Salty Boy on 8 thus far as well. Rest of the team struggling just a little bit, but honestly, this doesn't feel like a 6-3 game looking at the kills on both sides, just because of how well Terror and Salty have been doing individually in terms of the kills they've been putting in.
He doesn't even need to put down a shield. Just give him a good gun, give him Legion, give him something that shoots straight and shoots quickly, and he can get kills. Being on the Legion here, something that's a little bit different. I was going to make a joke, just keep him on the Thorn, but that gun that Legion has, the secondary super shorty, the impacts in pocket, and the amount of sound info that you can play off of, he's such an incredibly strong operator in pretty much every single way. He can play selfishly off of those traps, and also in the mid round, he can just drop back to site, play for his team, and give so much info, give so much delay, and have that trap potential for the late round.
Kettering just trying to establish their own control inside of Big Tower for the time being. We didn't see the meeting objective when they were on the defensive side. However, they still do know how to go about attacking it. Normally, you'll want to open up the attic wall to look into attic so nobody can play off of the opened up hatch, which is in this case open, because Chuck takes a lot of damage to himself, falling from a great height. But he'll still be alive, so that's something, at least. You still have the gun, you still have the Twitch drones, the biggest part, but you don't have the adrenal surges, and you've almost lost the Dokkaebi calls as well, as the first pick goes in the way of St. Clair by Finka. That is a big, big deal.
Rapid getting active, Rapid getting the entry pick. That's a fantastic job of him to get on the board and get a little bit aggressive, because we were saying Terror has been the person to get on the board. He looks to swing even more, and he takes down Bombkey as well. A double kill for him on the round. Now bring things down. Chuck is 1 HP, and there are only 2 other members for the side of Kettering. Another gunfight going towards Rapid. They're not looking his way at all. A triple kill. Can he make it an ace?
This is where you see the impact of the mute jammers. It feels like Kettering have no idea where to expect anybody because they can't. There's a jammer around the corners they're trying to drone. Now, just Derp and Chuck left alone together. Salty's got a sneaking suspicion that Derp's around the corner, though. He'll take that kill, and then Vaca gets the frag on a Chuck as he swings wide in perfect time. Wants to make sure that Salty doesn't hog too many kills for himself, which is fair. And with that, St. Clair's takes another round, and with that, they've won every defensive site they have in their arsenal. So now, are we looking at a comeback?
I think if this Kettering timeout doesn't change something about their attack, doesn't change something about the fact that even on the previous half, Kettering were losing the entry pick so often. And when it comes to defense, you can play a little bit more loose. You can do what Derp and what a lot of the other members, what Derp and Chuck and what a lot of the other members of Kettering have been doing, which is just, okay, we lost one. Let's get aggressive, get in their faces, take gunfights, and get man advantage back. You can't do that as effectively on the attacking side. You do need to play more structured. You do need to play more around each other. And when you lose, when one of your members falls down tower and gets chunked down to like 15 HP, and that entry pick you lose is a Finka, that hurts a lot more than just maybe losing someone on the defense that has passive utility that was already placed down.
So with that, we see where St. Clair goes once more, seemingly going to go to that second floor because they don't have another option. They could go dining, but you don't really want to go dining, especially if it's not a site you have planned. Second floor, though, the issue is they have lost it before. So if Kettering can reach deep within themselves and pull out whatever they managed to bring out in round number 7 that gave them match point, they won't have to worry about map number 1 anymore, and they'll be able to move on to map the second, Cafe. I believe it's Cafe, right? Because Cafe then Border third?
Yes, Border is Decider, yes.
Border Decider, Cafe up next. And Kettering started on defense here, so I'm willing to guess that this was Kettering's map pick. Pretty sure that was, or rather, no, this was St. Clair's map pick, I believe. So this is kind of a bit of a rough start. This is the map you wanted to send yourselves to. So the defense clearly proving worthwhile, but if you're picking into Oregon, you'd like to have a little bit more of a cohesive strategy on the attacking side for the future. However, there may not be future after this. This could be their last game.
Either way, Terror is back on that Thorn, is back on that operator that he got aggressive with before, and still has that shield in his pocket. Back to his old antics, running around, not going for a spawn peek like before. Not playing aggressive towards that Showers Hall that Kettering might be expecting now, especially after that timeout, but either way, he's on that strong gun, and he's hopefully looking to play for that entry pick. He's lower white, and he's playing off of that. The rest of the members on site, hunting for drones, retaking space towards site. And 40 seconds off the board, Kettering haven't quite made their entry. They're doing exactly what they needed to do. They're playing slower. They're not giving up that entry pick.
Terror is still in that same spot he was last time, and oh my, what a shot onto Prismo.
I shouldn't have said that.
Lost a ton, have HP. What'd you say?
I said they shouldn't have lost entry pick, and 2 entry picks going to the side of St. Clair.
Wow. Yeah, you know how it is. It's the caster's curse. And Corey Robb's going to make it even better for the defense, and seemingly very far removed from a round they lost on this objective, because you're looking at how they're playing now, and you can't imagine them ever losing a single site.
Oh my.
Such as this. He's going out towards the RV. He wants to take shots towards the right van out up to the Master Bal. Terror's just doing so many things that I'm losing track of the words I'm trying to say as Baka gets another kill. What on earth has just happened?
Even when they slow things down, even when they play a little bit slower, St. Clair getting up in their faces and getting aggressive with that 1.5 on Thorn cleans out not quite cleans out the round. A C4 for Corey that ends up actually finishing it. I thought the gun from Terror was going to clean things out, but a C4 as all those bullets were flying. You can't shoot that. You can't expect that. You don't have any more bullets left in your magazine. And match point for Kettering still, but you got to remember at one point it was a 6-2. It was match point, and St. Clair, we were talking about,
it's a 6-1.
Oh, jeez.
Wow. No, you're totally. It was 6-2 technically.
Well, yeah,
just
it was at some point during.
Yeah, it was at some point. You weren't wrong. I'm just trying to go even further and say it was 6-1 even, because they won the very first time they attacked on this map, Kettering did. And they've lost 4 straight since then. So it would seem that St. Clair picked up a little bit of momentum at the very end of their attacking half at the very perfect time. Because now, they've got Kettering on the ropes, while Kettering are on match point. This feels totally counter to everything you could have expected. And now Kettering, it's up to them to adjust their basement takes. They're not going with a similar strategy what St. Clair did, where they want to go heavy util dump, that some teams have been favoring on this basement site, especially towards some of the higher levels. They just want to go for full roam clear, full intel gathering, which is a little bit questionable considering there isn't always a lot of roaming that happens on this site. Albeit, you have Terror, who's been a consistent terror to your attacks while you're trying to do anything outside of the objective itself. And Rapid is picked into the L of this round. So there's a potential for more of a roam. But a Jackal and a Dokkaebi on a basement attack feels a bit excessive when you could be bringing more util that will directly help your take later.
I honestly don't hate the pick. Because the real difference maker for Kettering and the real lose condition for them the past few rounds has been the fact that St. Clair playing off corners, playing aggressively, getting up in their faces in the kind of, 45 seconds to a minute into the round. That's been what's lost them. Rapid has this retake through Z-Hall. This is what's really going to make or break the round for St. Clair. The Dokkaebi call going out, make sure that his position is known, and shooting that Nomad trap, make sure that Corey can lurk up late if he has any inclination as well. But Terror, the constant terror, the menace, takes down Derp, takes down that Finka and the 2 nades that are sitting in that pocket. Now on the ground, not able to be used.
And here we see a very common strategy that I was mentioning just before, where you get the early kill towards the top of blue stairs, and then, well, the way you drew it up, you're supposed to fall back. Terror gets a bit overzealous, though, and finally he's dealt with kind of quick, as that has been a big problem. You pointed it out well. It's been the problem on the last few Kettering attacks, Really good tricking here from Salty, as he should be able to deal with these Kiba barriers quite effectively. They only brought a couple of impact EMPs. That's not going to do the trick at all.
Ooh.
He's got pretty much all of the X-Kairos down. Mac only has 10 left, and they're going to have to completely switch where they had this push slated for, because the K trick towards E-Box was perfect. Amazing play from Salty, and that could be, in and of itself, enough to secure some overtime.
The thing is, the last time Kettering actually did rotate back towards this main and freezer side, so I think that's where they like to attack from, but either way, having that avenue closed up and having that phantom pressure not available for Kettering means that a 4-on-4 turns quickly into a 3-on-4 as Rapid getting aggressive, knowing exactly where the members of Kettering are now going to be swinging from, and they hear them rotating. All they need to do is just hold those positions, hold those shields. Corey off of that shield holding lower freezer. All they need to do is just hold these angles in the man advantage and make sure that 15 seconds left, Kettering aren't able to get anything done. But Corey holding that position, just popping up just a little bit every now and then. But a nomad trap on right above him makes sure that he isn't just sitting on the ground. But now they just swing, they just win. St. Clair from a 1-6 half, bring it back and bring us into overtime on our first map of Oregon.
They got their mistake out of the way early, and they absolutely did not miss from there. Salty said it best, don't call it a comeback. They've been here since the start. They knew they just needed their defensive half, and they could bring off 5 in a row. Couldn't make it 6, couldn't end us in regulation. However, Kettering definitely kicking themselves, and you'd have to think that makes a big difference, because St. Clair got to pick the side coming into overtime that they start on. They picked defense, very wise of them to pick that, because they are fresh off of 5 round wins in a row. So if we continue to rattle off defensive round wins, it should go 8-7 to St. Clair in overtime. They also have the momentum. What advantage do they not have at this point in the game?
I'm trying to think. I can't really think of it. Like you were saying, they have the momentum advantage. They have the kill advantage. They have Terror, and like you were saying, Salty Boy and Rapid all getting aggressive, all playing in the faces of Kettering, and they have those 2 out of 3 defensive rounds. All they need to do is just keep winning like they've been doing. They're going to lose that momentum, possibly as things swap into their attacking half, but either way, that's pure speculation. Kettering need to change things up. They lost 5 in a row attacking rounds.
Safe to say they could easily make it 6, because again, you get that same start. Oh, I think Derps missed him. I think Derps missed him. No, never mind. Oh wow, Ooh. Rapid dodging bullets, goes Neo mode and barely able to escape the matrix that is Small Tower, running out with his life still intact, and then Terror's able to get the first pick on a Prismo. My goodness, if I had a nickel for every time Terror has gotten the first pick, I might
have more than 2 nickels.
I'd genuinely be able to buy something. Which is not something you can nothing is like 10 cents anymore. He's got at least like 30 cents. You can get like a couple of gumballs with the number of money you'd have in that scenario.
Yeah, Terror staying aggressive, taking down Prismo, and making sure that they have that man advantage, something they have maintained, not even just through that last half, but throughout the entire game.
Oh my gosh!
Corey with the gorgeous angles. Bonky trading it out onto Terror, but that's still 2 fantastic kills for St. Clair. With a mute jammer on the wall and so much utility to play off of. In 1:30, all St. Clair really need to do is just delay time, and Bonky swinging so slowly, still needing to clear these off angles, clear these weird spots that St. Clair knows so well and play off of.
I was about to say, I don't know if he has an angle onto the window or not, but they're clearing it as though he does. And then Corey just one taps with an SMG-11 all the way from range when he could only see the very tip top of the head. Ooh. Now he's stuck in a corner, though. Stuck in, I believe that's still called Bolo corner. The Aruni gate's going to go back up, though. So that's going to make things all the easier. He can't get naded out. Could get naded out from below, but there are no nades with which to do that. So that's the biggest problem for the time being, is Kettering just burning all of this util, and they still have the Aruni gate to contend with. They're not burning it close enough to when they actually want to push through. So now they're a player down. They're pretty much all of their utility down. One EMP still on Chuck. He'll have to use that to try and get in. The shotgun's going to be great from Corey, though, as he swings wide to take the kill on a Chuck. Trade for Mac isn't good as Bombkey gets, or rather, Bombkey gets left in a 1-on-3 as Corey got another. And I don't love his chances here.
Just sitting out on main window. It looks like all he's really looking to do is look to see if the members of St. Clair get a little bit aggressive, get in his face, swing an angle that he's holding, and Rapid is looking to do exactly that, but isn't quite able to let them make the shots land. Bombkey getting one, getting a second. But when you're sitting out on big window with about 5 seconds left, you're only going for kills. You're not going for the round win. The things that I want to talk about is the fact that this entry picks for St. Clair, the specific members that they've been taking off the board have been so influential. Like I was talking before, the entry pick going onto the Finko was incredibly influential. And in that last round, Corey was the win condition with holding that close angle, holding that bolo position. They had the arena gate cleared. They had everything. The only one last thing that they needed to clear that position out and maybe get a pick to the side of Kettering was a grenade. What did the entry pick go on to? Sledge with grenades in his pocket.
Yeah, big difference makers across the board. And we even saw that a big nade kill from below got an opening pick for Kettering the first time they attacked that second floor. And that was specifically a kill onto what I believe was Corey's position. So Terror's consistent ability to, I even say uncanny ability, to not just get kills early on, but get kills that are consistently onto players with nades is a big difference maker, because it meant that your mute could still play safely out of that corner with the dresser. It meant that your mute could get a couple of kills as he was integral in winning them that round. It meant so many good things for the attack, for the defensive side, just because of that one frag from Terror. So he's not just running around shooting just to shoot, but he's running around shooting with a purpose. He's trying to make things easier for his team in the late round, and I love to see that.
Get back to a little bit ago. Now Terror and the other members of St. Clair are on their attacking half, something that they weren't quite as strong on, something that they went quite a bit down on. Bombkey and the other members of Kettering playing on this first floor, a lot of space that's being held aggressively for Kettering off of so much info and util. Have those vertical angles. Chuck playing on this trophy side, that's something that we saw have so much impact the last time they played this site, but again, an entry pick for St. Clair on both sides. Every opportunity that they've been taking, they've been winning on this entry gunfight.
I'm confused. Rapid just walked through meeting and then is not just going to walk into meeting to break the Cade charge from below with the ability he has. Well, he didn't walk through meeting, but he could easily just drone it out and then deal with it himself. However, Corey's going to come over with the impact EMPs. They'll clear that side.
Oh.
And in St. Clair, okay, everyone's dead. Terror's killed 2 in a row. It's just left to Prismo. What on earth has just happened?
Last Alive fighting back in a 1v5 off this white stairs position. A little bit of damage from electrocution going out onto Corey, but that might be the only damage that happens in this round. They know exactly where he is. No, it's now what's going to happen. He takes down Terror, takes down another member of SCC, Baka. And in a 1v3, now this is significantly more doable. St. Clair know exactly where he is. They know his position. All they need to do is converge on it, and that is what ends up happening. A little bit messy for a 5v1, but still a closeout for St. Clair when things look so bad for them.
They're here to make the upset happen. They come into this only barely having snuck into the playoffs with that 4 seed, last place out of their own group, seeded into Kettering, an undefeated team coming out of the group stage. But they're not afraid. They know that they don't have to be afraid of anything so long as Terror is playing like he is today. And my goodness, was he ever having a map and a half. And you could even see that St. Clair, the momentum and the energy they were feeling, even helped them do better in streamlining their attacks and just doing them better, right? We watched in their first round attack when they jumped a couple people in through attic window, were funneling people through into master, right into the waiting arms of Chuck. That last round, comparing it to the very first round we saw, it felt like 2 totally different teams. We saw a team that was double pushing towards tower, and then also 3 people towards master. You saw the perfect use of the utility. You saw one set of EMPs to go with every set of hard breaching, to open up everything as quickly as possible, get the angles, and just wait, because you know that they're getting a little bit antsy. Kettering is a player down. They feel the need to overextend just to try and take advantage of some of the positions they know you're in, but more importantly, try and take that man advantage back into their own favor. But it was never allowed back into their favor, as once they got to match point, they were not allowed to win a single round, and Kettering now need to look towards our second map of Cafe for themselves to get on the board. Will they be able to, or will it be a 2-0 sweep in favor of St. Clair's? You'll have to come back after this break to find out.